Yo, what's up guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today I am live on twitch.tv/TATSYM. I'm joined by SkyHawk. SkyHawk, say hi. Smile.
Hello, I am GiantSkyHawk.
And Elysium.
Hello.
To well-known people in the community. And today we're going to talk about a very fun topic that I will probably die on this hill for. I think that Thunder Dragon Colossus can and should be unbanned. And both Elysium and SkyHawk disagree for some weird reason. Not sure why. Probably because they're bad. But we will, give some arguments. I'm going to talk first about why it can be unbanned and should be unbanned. And then Elysium and SkyHawk can go off. And after that, we're going to do a small discussion where we try not to scream at each other. Try. Because that won't work.
Hold on. TATSYM, one more question before we get into
Yeah.
this. How many YCS tops do you have?
Half. I have a half YCS top.
Okay, so moving on.
Alright. Alright, cool. Yeah, I would throw the argument at you. How many prize cards do you have? The same amount, sadly.
Okay, sure.
Alright, so to start things off, Thunder Dragon Colossus can and should be unbanned. And here's why. First of all, when the card was meta, we're gonna take it a little bit back to the legacy format, the DOS format. People were playing Strikers, people were playing like Salaman Great, the Orcus decks, and it was a pretty diverse meta where one deck beat the other and the other deck beat the other. And then you had Thunder Dragon with 0 YCS tops, which was very nice, or YCS wins at least, because it had a couple of tops. So even then, the deck was like one of the best decks, but didn't even win a YCS because it lost to Thomas Rose, I think. Very good. And yeah, now we're 3 years later, I think, or 2 years later. It's only 2 years, right? I think so. So
What, since it came out?
since it got banned.
It's been like a year and a half.
Oh,
Yeah, it was banned just it wasn't banned the April list. It was banned the list before the Master Rule changes.
oh.
Yeah, it was in January.
Okay, fair. Okay, so all right. I know the card is oppressive, but the first argument that I have is there are just way more cards right now that are just better at being oppressive. First and biggest point is a problem card that people have been talking about a lot, was not touched on the ban list, is Winda. I think Winda objectively is literally the better Colossus, because first of all, it's so easy to deal with a Colossus, which is my second argument, but I'll talk about that a little bit later. Like a Winda, people always say that, yeah, Colossus cannot be unbanned because it shits on Rogue. That's a bad argument, because every good deck shits on Rogue. But just like a Colossus, if you look at today's meta, Tribe Gate, insta wins against a Colossus. Striker, with the new cards, probably will beat the Colossus easily. They also cannot really search because Engage is at 1, so that's nice. Then we have, what's the other deck? Drytron. Yeah, that kind of loses to a Colossus, but it can out it way better than like a Droll Knockbird. So, and like for all rogue decks, I guess that Alistair dies to Colossus, but everyone wants Alistair to be dead anyway, so I don't know why you should not bring back Colossus, because it counters the deck that everyone hates. So yeah, the card doesn't do anything in today's meta game. And even if you're like playing rogue, I guess you can make an argument for that, but like, are we like not unbanning cards because it shits on Rogue? Is that really fair? Like, I don't think it has such an impact as like a Masterpiece or something, But like a Colossus shitting on Rogue, like, come on, take it easy. That's just not true. And then today's metagame has changed a lot since then. What did we use back then to negate the Colossus? Widow Anchor? Nowadays we have Imperm, already was legal then as well, but just not that good, that meta. But we have Imperm that's being mained right now. We have Droplets, we have Dark Ruler No More, which is a card that people were maining last format. And like a million hand traps. I don't see a consistent way to get out a Colossus except with like an actual Thunder Dragon deck. And even then it's really easy to just stop the summon or just like hand trap them to death. Ash the Solar, which is already like probably ending their turn. And I know we are like kind of used to like Dragon Link decks, but now that LP is gone and all the chaos is gone, The only real reason why I think it might not be a good idea is because the baby Chaos Dragons are still legal. But that's literally all I can think about, because I don't think that a Thunder Dragon deck that will end on Dragoon, Titan, Colossus, in what world is that good? First of all, in what world will that actually end on that board with like the amount of hand traps that are in the game right now? And in what kind of world will it play through a Dark Ruler no more? It just can't. There's no way a single Colossus would be good. Even if you like take bad cards into like calculations, like Nemesis Corridor, which is something that people say. Who's gonna play that? There's no one that's gonna play that. That's not good. It's inconsistent tree-offs that you're just gonna play. And maybe Virtual World? Are you gonna make Colossus in your Virtual World deck? I mean, I guess it's good, but then your board just, like, your deck is more inconsistent than it already was, and it dies to, like, droplets even more than it already did. Like, Colossus in today's metagame is just bad. It's just not gonna do anything. It's not doing anything against the top decks. It's not doing anything against, like, a certain level of rogue. There are near infinite outs that people are already playing in their deck. One Colossus will not make the difference. LP is banned. The Chaos cards are like kind of meh right now. Thunder Dragon hasn't seen play for years, and that's all because Colossus is just banned. Just give the deck Colossus. There is no deck right now. Prank Hits will not play Colossus. Nemesis Corridor, not gonna see play. I honestly, maybe I'm small-brained, but I cannot see this card becoming a problem anytime soon. And even if there is a combo deck that ends on 3 negates plus a Colossus, which I do agree with, it's basically an FTK, it still gets Dark Rulered just as easy. That's my case.
Alright, well, all I can summarize from that is, you smoking dicks. That's all I hear.
Well, that's,
Did I say
know,
anything like objectively wrong?
Yes, very
I think
much so.
I think my Elise can maybe take this first, but we had this discussion on Twitter. I disagree with you about the rogue statement, but we can get into that later.
Okay, sure.
Elise, you sound like you've got this one. Elise, you want to take it?
Yeah. So sure, you can make the argument all you want about Dark Ruler. Sure, that fine, whatever. Dark Ruler is a thing, but like, if you're saying that the Chaos cards don't make it so with, because here's the thing, you're right that Thunder hasn't been a force because Colossus got banned, but that's also because Colossus was such a huge consistency card for Thunder that completely changed the face of how that deck played. You can literally use it for so many different things, and it's so easy to recycle now with like Chaos Space and all the other Chaos tools that exist, that you cannot look at the deck in the same scope right now as if we had Colossus back. The Chaos cards from Chaos Space changed so much of how the deck could function, and being able to put Colossus anywhere as well, like, that's not even something we even got to fully experience, which completely changed how the Thunder deck would have played, and the spacing issues and just so many different aspects of it that I think you're just looking at it from a aspect of it's okay, I guess. And also, like, the way you described the matchups it would have in this current format just feels a little bit ignorant, because like, you also gotta keep in mind, like, for Tri Brigade there's only like a couple potential outs, and it's really hard for them to deal with it on a turn 1 basis when they have such a limited resource pool without being able to search. And then every other top deck is just going to struggle getting over it half the time. And having to centralize decks to beat one specific deck means that deck is oppressive and meta defining, which the deck doesn't need to do anymore. The deck already had so much time in the limelight. Oh no, it didn't get a win, but the fact that it had such a presence and oppressive power, and like, just beat down the meta to where you had to play to beat that specific deck and then hope your deck could play the rest of the field maybe, is not a good way to shape a format. Like, it's just not a healthy way to do it. Because again, I don't think Engage should have came back, and I still don't agree with it coming back, even though we see the impact it currently has right now. And I think Colossus would have so much bigger of a splash than Engage coming back that it would literally overtake the entire format and change the entire shape of the format, which is something that does not need to happen. It already had its limelight. move on, grow, advance with something else. Just don't ruin Yu-Gi-Oh.
Yeah, I don't know about the limelight thing, but I totally agree that it's something that warps how you have to like build a deck. Not a lot of decks have in-engine outs to Colossus. Like in general, like most strategies don't have an in-engine out. You have to have an out-of-engine way in your starting hand to beat Colossus. And I think when a deck exists that people have to draw out of engine cards specifically to even like have an opportunity to play, that sucks. Like, I think the Dark Ruler argument sucks because you're basically arguing that Adamantipator was fine. If you're going to make the argument that a Thunder Dragon Colossus setup would be fine, and I don't think that works at all. And if you don't mind, I actually have a prepared statement here for
Mhm.
the anti Colossus team.
All right, let's go.
Hello, fellow duelists. My name is GiantSkyHawk. Today, we will be debating the ban list status of Thunder Dragon Colossus, Scourge of the TOS format. Once the only thing standing in the way of multiple engage activations, it is currently banned for crimes against Master Rule 5. While I empathize with the Thunder Dragon players who have had to resort to cards such as Paleozoic Dynamiscus, Chaos Valkyria, and possibly the most desperate move of all, the Sacred Beast Engine, I think it would be better for Thunder Dragon to have new support to make this very cool and interesting strategy playable, rather than rely on the oppressive Colossus, because unfortunately it's too powerful. Mistake on legs that is summonable for the low cost of simply having a Thunder type monster in your deck that can remove itself from the hand is ridiculous. If that wasn't enough, it can protect itself from destruction as many times as you have Thunder type monsters in your graveyard, which also triggers the Thunder Dragon main deck monsters if they're in your grave. And the worst part about that is that the restriction only applies to your opponent. From a floodgate design perspective, the bullshittery, like this is bullshittery of the highest possible order. A floodgate should be something restrictive but possible to work with. If you even compare this to something like Droll and Lockbird, there's a separate discussion about whether Droll and Lockbird is too strong. But like Droll and Lockbird lets you add once, and it doesn't protect itself. Mistake doesn't protect itself, and it's a trap card. Colossus has in-engine protection. It doesn't have the weakness of having to like main deck a card that doesn't work with your strategy. And as a whole, it's incredibly difficult to remove with in-engine cards. Like the only deck previously that had like a good in-engine out that you didn't have to like Widow Anchor and Ultimate Conductor Tyranno are basically the only things. And Striker is, even with one engage, is in a much weaker position to deal with Colossus. And now Dinosaur doesn't have good ways to get dinosaurs into the grave now that Misk is at one. So already like the strongest meta outs to it are in kind of a weird spot. But the biggest thing is how badly it would warp the format. A ton of decks become unplayable or much less consistent strategies when Colossus is a thing. You specifically have to deck build around Colossus existing instead of deck building around a wide variety of threats. Look at like the state of the game right now. The game right now is amazing. You can play almost anything and do well. They're like Adagnister is really good. Earth Machine is something you can do rogue well with. I've been playing Fluffle and doing reasonably well, for crying out loud. Like the number of different viable strategies right now is really, really good. And if you bring Colossus back into the format, all of those decks you can play at a competitive level completely disappear. Even if there are outs like Dark Ruler and Droplet, those aren't in-engine ways to deal with the card. So, in my view, Colossus is unfair because it warps the format. It is a one-sided floodgate that has inherent protection, is extremely easy to access in its deck. I actually agree with you that Corridor is probably not a good argument. It's not like it's not searchable like Keystone is with Gallant Granite, but I think even though it's not generically accessible, I still think it's too good. So, fellow duelists, I hope that you will side with Elise and I on the side of banlist justice and wish to keep Colossus banned forevermore.
Ah, that's a nice speech. I'll invite you to my wedding. Alright, so yeah, there's a lot to unpack there. So I'm gonna be honest. I devalue the protection effect like an insane amount. I feel like no, what do you mean? No, not for you. It's just how I see it. Like I'm not saying your argument is. I'm just saying that how I see it. I just kind of forget it has the protection effect because I feel like, or back when I played the deck and how I see it now, is I literally think of it right now as like just impermanent and the protection's gone. And I know that's like a bad argument. I know just draw the out, haha, is just not a good argument. And I agree that there are a lot of decks that don't play in engine outs to it. But there are so many decks that do. So I'm gonna do something that I will hate myself for. And go grab the OCG meta breakdown. Just something I don't like to do, because I hate the OCG. But their meta breakdown right now is awkwardly the same. They have 20% Virtual World, which is arguably the best deck right here right now. They have 11% Tri-Brigade, which right here would probably be 50%, but fair. Then they have 10% Blankets, 7.8% Code Talker, 7.8% Dragon Maid, 6.9, very nice percentage of Drytron players. Then Tri-Brigade Lyrilisc with 4.9, and also at 4.9, Thunder Dragons. There are 5 Thunder Dragon deck lists, 3 Chaos Thunder Dragon, 1 Pure, and 1... oh my god, this is Grass Chaos Necro Thunder Dragon. I don't know what that is, but I want it in my life. So, I'm gonna take a quick look at their deck list on how... Oh, they don't have a deck list. Sad. So they have strangely the same meta right now, which is pretty interesting if you ask me. They have a lot more prank kits, which is kind of a slept on deck here, but I do think that our format is like significantly different than theirs. It has always been, right? It has always been.
Yeah,
but
why
even
do you think their format's different?
Because they have Maxi.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like it's only like a small percentage difference, honestly. I think that if we were looking at the YCS breakdown right now, then it would roughly look the same percentage-wise, like with the Virtual World at 20, Tri-Brigade at 11, or maybe they swap those numbers around, or maybe tries a little bit bigger.
Okay, so I actually agree with you, but you're still wrong.
Yeah, that's fine.
I agree with you that the meta breakdown would look quite similar, but Colossus's existence locks a whole bunch of other decks out of the format that don't exist.
Like what?
So I think a lot of those other decks that would sit at like 4, 3, 2, 1 piece of representation, like Adignister, especially people like without stuff like Max Season, right?
Yeah.
Adignister, Earth Machine, Fluffle, let me grab
Alistair, Nadir Servant, Necros, Ritual decks.
Yes.
Prankits?
Yeah.
What?
So
Did you say Prankits?
Yeah.
Prankits
I think
beat Colossus? Actually, can they? They can't, right?
They can't add like they can't.
All right.
How do they fusion something?
This is a plus. This is a plus for me. No Alistair, no Prankits. This is just a win.
Oh, I totally agree that those two decks are annoying.
Yeah.
But that's not justification for
No, fair. Yeah.
I think I mean like we're all tired of Alistair, but in the grand scheme of things, Alistair is a relatively fair setup.
Yeah.
Whereas it's like you have to commit to normal summon, you have to play like a specific strategy to synergize with it.
Yeah, and you sacrifice brain cells each time you play the deck.
That is true. As someone used to activating Misk, I am.
You honestly,
definitely someone with less brain cells.
I wouldn't be able to count the amount of times I summoned Alistair in my life. It would not be possible. So.
I think there's no. Why not just have a new card? Even like a Colossus would be way more fair if it did not have the inherent destruction prevention.
Agreed.
And it applied to both players.
Agreed. That is something that I definitely overlooked. The protection.
Because like you can't like summon big Chungus with cards in your hand and attack.
Yeah, there's literally no way that a Prankits deck can play through a Colossus. There's just no single way they can do that.
Yeah, and because of Colossus's presence in the format, a whole bunch of strategies like Prank Kids and even other meta strategies now have to dedicate almost their entire side deck space or a whole bunch of their main deck space specifically for Colossus, and I think that sucks. It's kind of like
I feel like that in a different meta that would be true, but I feel like in this meta, maybe I'm looking at it through a little bit of like it with tunnel vision. But I feel that right now, if you would put in Thunder Dragon, it actually just wouldn't do anything. I'm not sure about the next meta. I'm not sure what decks will like be revealed soon. But I feel like if you just like if Colossus would be at 1 right now, everyone already mains like Imperm, or everybody mains Vader right now, and Imperm's getting like a little bit less popular, but they would just switch it to Imperm. And maybe if your deck hard dies to Colossus, maybe you do like a droplet or something.
I think why would you want to make the format less diverse though?
I don't think it's going to be less diverse.
Why would you
I think it's going to be more diverse.
Why would you make the format suckier? No, less decks can play if Colossus exists.
No, if there's more decks to play, there's more.
So
No,
hold
its
on.
existence makes it less diverse.
Hold up. So if you're talking about how people need to play more outs to Colossus then because
I think they have
it
to.
exists,
No.
isn't that meta warping, which is exactly what we shouldn't be doing, and over centralizing towards one specific deck? Isn't that like?
I think there's a lot of decks
for the game's existence.
I think there's a lot of decks right now that don't even have to change their main or side deck a little bit to even remotely deal with a Colossus. Let alone, like, there may be some rogue strategies, but you know, there are decks that have changed their deck because Engage is back. I don't think that's really a big problem or something. Like, Guard gets unbanned, the deck is maybe good again, like Striker, like Zodiac, apparently, like a lot of decks. That's the thing with unbanning Guard. The deck becomes good again, and that's fine, because people are really centered on we have to, like, focus on the new decks that are coming out, and, like, older decks have, like, had their shine, like you said already. But I don't think there's anything wrong with having a legacy in Yu-Gi-Oh!, especially with, like, the format right now. We are literally all playing decks from last year. That's literally the entire fucking meta right now. And then people are still playing Drytron, even though there's a million cards in the game right now that kill their turn. And that's not even draw. That's Ally of Justice, Katastor. It's just Ash, Bell, Crow. Every card in the game right now says, yeah, fuck Drytron. Every card in the game says that right now. People still play it. I don't think you're not gonna play your invoked strategy because there's a Thunder Dragon deck. People are not gonna pick up Thunder, like, it's not gonna be the best deck in any sense. It's just not gonna be that way. That's just fact. Combo decks just suck right now, and I think they're gonna suck for a very, very long time with the amount of tools, the amount of excessive tools there are right now.
Strength of the combo decks, and Thunder Dragon, like, literally the only tool that Thunder Dragon is missing right now is Colossus. It would actually truly be enough to bring it to the point where we potentially even had Dragon Link at. And if you're saying that Dragon Link wasn't a good combo deck, then
it was a good combo deck.
I think it'd be on a similar, if not a higher power level, that it would just be crazy. And it doesn't even need Secta's Light. It has Chaos Space. Like, yeah. I'd rather play Chaos Space 100% than playing Sekka's Light.
Yeah, so one thing that I do also have to say, if we bring back Colossus, there are a couple of cards that have to go, but those cards would have to go anyway, in my opinion. So I don't like the baby dragons anymore. They have to be banned. Or Chaos Space has to be banned, which is something they're just not gonna do, because it's one of the coolest cards in the game ever. Or the baby dragons have got to go. I actually thought that they would ban one of the baby dragons last ban list. I actually thought they would just do that. They didn't for some weird reason, and now it's still good. But one of those just definitely has to go, and that will already fix a lot of the problems.
So
what's the point of bringing back a card if you have to hit so many cards and then limit future card design? Then that
what future card design?
Like, because there's so much more you can, for example, do with like those chaos cards, and especially with those being such like well liked strategy that exists, like playing chaos cards. You're making it so that chaos decks can't exist anymore.
No, just the baby dragons.
But you said also Chaos Space.
No, I said Chaos Space needs to stay. Chaos Space is insane. Oh. That card is like, it can search how many targets? It can search like the Chaos monsters. It can search ritual cards for some reason. It can search so many cool stuff. That card needs to stay in the game. It has so many applications. I love the card. But it's just so inherently broken with the baby dragons. The baby dragons is what's making it just overpowered as fuck.
I mean, but at the same time, it's half what makes it so playable. It would lose a lot of playability without them, and I think the baby dragons at 1 are fine. And like I don't know, I just think it limits future card design well enough for a deck that we don't need to come back and exist again when I genuinely do think it'll be one like the best deck if it came back right now. And I don't think that's something
Hmm.
we need to have happen. There's no reason why.
If you're scared for that, then I would
I-
assume, yeah.
I have maybe a slightly different angle here. I think Thunder Dragon is cool and good actually. It's very unique setup for a deck. The main deck monsters all do very interesting things. The level situation makes them very cool. I just think Colossus is too good. I would rather see new support make the deck playable because there's clearly something there. And even like the deck now could do very cool things. It's just fragile and less consistent. I would rather
It's
like the
still.
deck have a way to
Have you
more
played it?
consistently access a game plan than to have access to a card that warps the entire format around it.
Have you played the deck?
Thunder?
Yeah, it's
I have
it's
I have
like
played some, yeah.
it's low key kind of good right now. Like
There are
Dragoon is
you
your
can-
fifth summon. It's wild. It's
Yeah,
very
you can-
sick.
You can play like a super heavy control version. Like that's why I mentioned Dynamiscus in my opening statement.
Yeah.
Like, people were playing Trap Thunder Dragon, which would be interesting right now because that's more mid range and that's kind of where the format is leading right now, in my opinion. Like you can play really wacky combo engine stuff. You like and like super like you don't really play them very much anymore, but like being able to use super unique cards like Battery Man Solar and Aloof Lupine, that stuff is cool. Like for example, I thought the Dragon Link deck was really cool. It just had access to some crazy powerful tools that were way too broken.
Yeah.
So I think Colossus falls into that. Colossus is like the LP category for me. The Dragon Link deck is really cool, but LP was clearly way too insane. I think Colossus is the same thing, where the strategy behind it is cool, is good, and should exist, but the payoff for the cost is just way too wide. It's the same reason Block Dragon had to go. Like Block Dragon, extremely cool card, but the stuff around it and what it offered ended up being way too good. I think Colossus is in that same category.
I agree with that.
I'm still
Like,
a little
if you-
bit on the fence.
I don't know. The thing is, if
Yeah.
you really want Thunder Dragon to exist again, if that's really a strategy you want, it'd be better for them to make new support instead of just turning back the clock. Because like, we get the one Colossus back, like, what?
They just have to ban it again.
Like, yeah, like
No,
we already probably
it's
have
not
to
gonna be
re-ban Engage or
Drytrons.
do some other striker hit we didn't even need to do if they just kept Engage banned. Like,
Yeah.
there's never been a time in Yu-Gi-Oh history where a card has gotten unbanned that quick and then just been allowed to be that meta relevant. There's no reason why that should even be happening.
Snatch Steal?
Yeah, they rebanned it
Trident?
instantly because they knew it was a mistake. That's a difference.
Trident?
I'm
And-
with you on Trident. Trident wasn't the ban. Should have been Zeus.
I mean, Dryden allowed other decks to take softer hits. I don't think, because I think with like the time that Zodiac and like the
Tinky?
amount that Tri Brigade was starting to about to like take over, I think honestly Dryden was a better hit than Zeus, but that's a different
Sure.
debate for a
Yeah,
different day.
Enabled.
Mm,
Trident was a combo.
we've
anyway,
seen
so I guess that's
multiple occasions bringing back a card is an issue. We've seen that on multiple occasions. So, yeah, I kind of expected this discussion to go this way. I think it's really dependent on how much you value a Colossus. But there's so much room for interpretation. Like, I completely understand all your what's it called? All your issues or scaredness behind the card. I understand all of them. It's literally how much you like value those like the value of a Colossus, the value of a mistake, the value of a cannot be destroyed by battle or card effect. And you have outs, you have side deck, you have options. Like there are so many decks, like for example, Drytron right now, insta loses to Striker, they just accept that. It's just a siding thing at that point. Like it's been in many formats before where you just accept to lose to a deck if you play against said deck. So I'm not entirely sure if one card can make that much of a difference.
I think there's a difference between bad matchups existing and a card existing that almost every deck has a bad matchup against. Like, there's a difference between Drytron having a bad matchup against Sky Striker and any deck that needs to be able to search something in order to out a specific card being locked out. Like, a bad matchup in a format doesn't lock you out of a format, but something that everything has a bad matchup against warps how you have to build and warps what you're allowed to play. Like, I think like with and like with Drytron and Striker, it's not like the matchup is completely unwinnable. Like you don't have to draw specific cards to beat Striker. You just have to build the
Yo, what's up guys?
deck
Welcome back from the
differently.
Yu-Gi-Oh!
With
Pro Tour
Colossus,
video.
it's way too concentrated around Colossus specifically, rather than like Drytron can side back removal that applies more widely. Like I still think Colossus concentrates the format too much, rather than like one specific bad matchup as a whole deck. I get that you want it to be like playable again. Thunder Dragon is super cool. I love Thunder Dragon. There's like a whole bunch of cool cards you can play. I think I feel like you have to dedicate way too much to beat one specific card, and it dictates what you can and can't play.
What's the end board? Someone in chat asks what would be the end board for Thunder Dragon. At the
I have
moment,
no idea. I'm pretty sure it could end on like either like very similar to what Danger Thunder used to end on. Honestly, I
And
could
so-
see it being like that high power level.
if
I'll be
you
completely
if you
honest.
open Roar/Dark and Aloof, you will end on a Verte Titan with 2 pops in hand, where Dragoon is your 5th summon. If you open Solar, you can make an Appaloosa on the 5th summon as well, and a Verte or a Titan, you have to choose. And if you open Chaos Space, it's Verte Appaloosa Titan. That's the board right now. I feel like if we would add Colossus, in all circumstances, one of those cards in set combo would not be on the field.
You could play a Danger Engine and add Harbinger.
You can also revert back to combo decks, but I honestly don't think we're gonna see good combo decks for a little while. Because right now, Drytron is... Alright, so objectively, if you play a deck in single player mode, Drytron is one of the best decks the game has ever seen, right? It's just true.
Yeah, it's.
I'm with you
I
there.
mean,
Like,
it's not as good as
uninterrupted.
it used to be, but like, yeah, it's still really good right now. It's just it has too many things holding it back right now, which
Yeah.
is why combo decks aren't good right now, because that's the only good combo deck. But if something else gets released, in
There
the
are always
future,
good
then
combo decks.
decks
Have
are
you
good again.
seen what an Infernoble deck does?
Yo, what's up guys? Welcome back from
Yeah,
the
but it
Yu-Gi-Oh!
doesn't
Pro
have
Tour
like the
video.
true power level and consistency to like.
It can hand loop for
break
4
stuff up and
and
follow
end on
through.
3 negates.
Yeah, I think the point.
And it's
Tactics is making
consistent.
Is that uninterrupted? They're really ridiculous. Like uninterrupted, even with droplets, for example, against a deck like, you have to have like droplets and Call by the Grave on Herald of Orange Light specifically.
No, what I just kind of
in order
mean
to play against that whole setup.
is combo decks are just in such a bad place right now. There are so many main deck outs, side deck outs to everything. The chance at a Mermal combo, which is still just a good deck. If you open Dragoon Toes, you can literally make any card in the game and hand up for 4. It doesn't matter. Because of the amount of cards that are available right now. And I know that the format is in a weird spot. You know, we are used to like a Spiral being the best deck and then everyone mains hand traps, haha, right? But now it's just every deck plays hand traps. And literally every deck, and nothing is really a combo deck, but you still die turn 2 somehow. Combo decks are gonna be like bad for a very long time. And Darkrooter droplets, tactics, all those cards have added to that. I'm a big fan as well. I like control. I don't like combo decks. I like control.
You really can't equate the number of cards that beat combo as to why combo isn't good right now. You have to equate it to the strength of combo decks right now. And while, yes, interrupted combo decks can make these insane ass boards, all that stuff, it still doesn't mean that the deck as a whole is that good because it is so easily interrupted, so easily played around. Which, like, again, we had decks like when Infernoble was at full power, or Rock, or even when Thunder was a thing, or Dragon Link. Like, all of those decks just had this insane power level that's different than any other combo deck we currently have in this format. So that's the difference you need to think about before you equate it to the hand traps that exist.
Yeah, I like this version of Yu-Gi-Oh deck building and format. Thinking about the format better. If you want access to the power of a combo deck, you have to take the risk. You have to build your deck differently. You have to find like kind of a happy medium in what you're doing. So if you like on an axis of power of end board versus like ability to go second or dig things through, you have to, instead of just having enough gas to always push through, like something like Emancipator or Dragon Link or Danger Thunder did, you have to make the choice if you're going to take the risk on filling up the gas tank if you're just going to have to burn it all out for nothing. I prefer making that deck building decision than, whoops, this thing exists, this deck exists, we all have to build for this now.
Isn't that just meta game?
Yeah, I don't like a meta game where we have to.
But if we,
Colossus.
but that's just like, all right. But okay, so we had a pretty good meta, right? Like before, well, like, and then the balance came, and now everyone is playing Engage, and it's like the third best deck. So that's arguably the same. But then again, one card called Beer Brum and Try is suddenly an amazing deck. And like one ban and Virtual World is all of a sudden an amazing deck. And I get what you're saying, but just adding one card to that mix is just the game. It's what always happens.
It takes out so many other cards.
That's what happened. Cards, it doesn't matter if it's an old deck or a new deck. If a new deck comes out and it does something like that, what do you think Thunder Reese is gonna do, bro? Oh my god, holy shit.
Yeah, that's way too good.
But
That was Colossus.
Yeah, and that deck will get hit
Yeah,
eventually.
it
That's how
sucks, dude.
cards coming out happen. That's just the cycle of everything. And like,
Yeah.
So what's the
That's
why
naturally
not
how
bring
we
back
should
older
progress.
decks like they have been doing for the last like years? They've been bringing back
yeah, but
cards
they
and
never
cards
usually
and
bring back
cards.
older decks if they're gonna be like literally the top tier. They just made a mistake with Engage, and sometimes that happens. Konami isn't always like good at doing their
I don't
thing,
think they
and
made a mistake with Engage.
Could
I genuinely think they do, but
oh,
Do you guys think that
I
Harp
should not
Horror can be
recommend
unbanned?
no.
it would cause, honestly, I think it'd be even better than Engage coming back, but I don't think any of those cards should have came back, but apparently my opinion doesn't matter on that.
I think Stalio is the only one that should.
Yeah, I can agree with that, but like
I guess my
really
views.
didn't need to. Like, I don't think if you're designing your game as such, like what Konami should be doing is instead of focusing on bringing old stuff back, is what they're normally good at, which is like releasing new good archetypes and kind of power creeping out the old. Like Duels Alliance was one of my favorite sets on how it impacted the game and pushed it forward, and I think sets like that are really good. And like even Secret Slayers was technically a good set, except for the fact that Rock got solved way too quickly to where it was too oppressive. But if we naturally progressed it in a non-COVID format, that actually would have been like a healthy progressive format. And then I don't know, I think it would have been fine, but yeah, it's just we're obviously not getting those impactful decks that we need to be getting right now.
They are
Kinda
stalling
sucks and
or
makes us need to
something.
go backwards, but I don't think that's the best way to make a healthy game. And I know they've done well in the past in making a healthy game, but it's just obviously they'll be doing stuff in the future, but yeah, it's just not the best way to design your game, I feel like. And I think that also is what matters more than like nostalgia factor or whatever.
Yeah, but nostalgia factor is huge. That's why they bring back support. That's legacy support. That's unbannings. It's they have to. That's the game as well. It's not just
But
bring
they
out
don't-
new cards. It's also bring back
don't-
old cards.
They don't normally do it to the point where it's literally, if it was a busted ass deck, they don't bring it back to the point of being one of the best decks again normally. It's still like,
Yeah, but you say normally,
kinda-
but this is the reality we're living in, which is why this is such a difficult topic, because that's just Trident, Engage, Smile.
I think we're actually pretty close to the ideal that Elise is talking about right now. Like, think about some of the decks that have come out lately and where they are in the metagame right now. Like, take Drytron. Drytron was like, it kind of fell off like close to the end of the format, but like it was really, really strong. Virtual World was obviously super OP with Calamities existing, but if you look at those decks now, neither of them are super oppressive in the metagame. They have their
Virtual World
place and
is.
they do interesting things. Yeah, Virtual World is really cool and is good and it does well, but it's not oppressive.
And
I think
you're
a lot of-
wait. Just wait 1 week. Wait 1 week, bro. Trust.
With one-
Virtual World is the best deck of the format.
I think there's an argument to be made for that. I think less people are on it just because less people have been playing it lately. But for example, I don't think any of those decks are insane and overpowered. And a lot of stuff that they're coming out with in the mid range, some of it is maybe a bit underpowered. But I feel like if we're just like slowly scaling back the stuff that is good and with the ban list and then making design choices to make stuff cool instead of insane, like we could have like this huge wide cornucopia of playable decks and Colossus would just shut all that down.
Don't think you will.
That's there's no way to bridge that gap, I guess.
Yeah.
Like there's pretty much no way I think we're ever.
You did give me a lot of new insights to think about.
Yeah, I appreciate your input too, dude. Like the point that like there are obviously a wider amount of counters makes sense. I just think it's still a bit too strong.
I get that, but I don't think. I think you guys are overvaluing the card like hella much right now.
I think you're undervaluing it significantly, and I don't even care about, like, Colossus could literally be a vanilla monster in my brain, and it could still just change the entire shape of the deck. I don't even care about the mistake. I don't care about literally what Colossus does, except for the consistency factor and bringing the deck, like, that much closer to meta relevancy. That's literally what I care about more than anything else, personally.
Yeah, I don't think there's an issue with more decks, more better, even if it's old decks or new decks. I think it's fun.
I guess
I'd like to see older decks compete with the newer decks.
I think so. I actually agree with that, but I think Colossus stops more of those older decks.
You think Colossus too much? So you think Harp is too much, or didn't you?
I think Harp should not come back.
Harp should not come back. All right, so let me take a quick look. I'm not sure how you guys are on time, by the way. If you guys are like, hey bro, shut up, just ban it, Lamau, that's fine with me. So, Electromite?
Damn it.
If you say Colossus,
Electromite probably shouldn't.
I'd rather it not, honestly.
I'm with. I feel like I'm in this with Electromite. I'm in the same position as TATSYM. I want it to come back personally because I want to play the decks and enables, but it probably should not come back.
There's no way in hell you can argue with me that card can come back, but Colossus can't.
I want Electromite specifically for Dynamist cards. Electromite as it stands can't come back.
Tiger to 1?
No.
Probably.
All right, maybe after try format.
Okay,
Yeah,
here's the thing too.
Right now,
if you try and keep trying to just ask me, can this come back? Can this come back?
No, I'm just trying to. No, I'm just thinking about your opinion.
What should happen?
Oh, you just don't want that. Fair.
I just don't think we really need to keep bringing back cards. I think we're fine just like
but the ban list
progressing forward, moving forward, and not looking back on things that were not good or healthy for the game, and just kind of, I don't know, doing things that are.
Do you not want the ban list to be smaller?
Aggressive. I don't care about the ban list. I just want, like...
You can't say that.
I'd rather see new cards than anything else. That's honestly what I'd prefer.
The ban list is one of the big things that makes Yu-Gi-Oh! Yu-Gi-Oh! This is one of the things that each player knows. No matter how good or bad or how much they play, everyone knows the ban list. They might not understand the ban list, but everyone knows the ban list. If you are a new player and you look at, like, a game, right? Pokemon doesn't have a ban list. They sometimes ban like one card in their standard format. They have a ban list for like other formats, but they hardly ever like ban or limit a card in their format. And if you look at Yu-Gi-Oh, it's like a fucking 200 plus cards at this point. That's not good for your game. And I'm not saying that we should bring back haha all cards, but there are so many cards we can get off there that might be risky, but that can easily just like slide, and it would advance the game so much.
I agree with that. I think my take is slightly different from Elise's, but we end up on the same side of the argument anyway. Like, I think that there's stuff that can come back, and I think it's perfectly okay to bring stuff back off of the ban list when it isn't a problem anymore. But I do think, but I guess if stuff is too good, it shouldn't come off. Like, something like Time Seal, for example, or like Yada Garasu, those can come off the list fine.
Ooh, I like you.
They're not going to do anything, right? Like, because I think like FTKs exist in the game. The ones that are too consistent get banned. Like for example, you can FTK in Dino, but it's super fragile right now and it sucks. So Bish Balkan is still legal. But like Tempest Magician is banned because obviously that one was too good. Last turn, or not last turn, Time Seal probably enables some stupid shenanigans, but it's not going to be good. I think that's probably fine. But stuff like that super meta warping, so like I think Engage shouldn't have come off, Harp, Colossus, Electromite. There's probably a couple, I would have to like redig through the ban list, see some other stuff. Mally to 3 probably would be a problem. So I think
Oh, yeah.
stuff is fine to come off. I just think stuff that is not fine to be in the format should not come off.
I guess.
That's like the most brain dead take ever.
Oh, that's actually completely fine, honestly. I think that the thing though that we are maybe, that you guys maybe are overlooking, is that this is a game and it needs to like offer stuff to the players, and players want new cards, but there are also players, even though maybe Elise doesn't care that much, or you don't care, or I don't care, there are cards that people do care about on this list, and I'm 90% sure that just unleashing Engage brought back a lot of players, hyped up a lot of players, hyped up the format. Like, people are just excited. Each ban list, there's a reason why this is such a cultural phenomenon in the game. There's a reason why Farfa is on 5,000 viewers when there's a ban list, or Coder, or Elise, or me, or why the videos do so well, why the format do so well, why the deck profiles do so well. It's because of the nostalgia trip, and that's also the game. The game is meant to be entertaining. If this game was 100% competitive, let's go have fun, you know? That's like just 100% ethically correct ban lists, then we would not be in this format. We would have been in an entirely different game right now. The game would have banned a lot of different cards. The ban list would be way different. The entire game would be different. The way we look at the game would be different. But because it's so much fun, because it's so explosive sometimes, and yeah, bringing Snatch Steal back was probably one of the dumbest things I've ever seen. Bringing Engage back, I'm still not sure if this is a good idea. But if I'm looking at the format right now, I honestly just don't care for Engage being there. I like it. I like playing the deck. I like playing against the deck. I like people picking up the deck, finally, because it was bad for so long and now it's good. And there are many people that always wanted to play Striker but couldn't. Just like there will be people being excited for Colossus, Electromite, Fiber Jar. There are so many cards on this ban list that can just give that spark. And we are in a time right now where there are not that much sparks. King's Court just released. And can you name one of the new cards in the set? I literally can't. I think that...
Welkom back from the Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro Tour
Like,
video.
I want new cards. But in my honest opinion, with everything going on around the world, everything that's happening right now, I honestly truly believe it's not happening. Flunderies being released is honestly, in my opinion, is maybe a little bit tinfoil hatty, and I know it might be a little bit weird, but it actually kind of feels like Konami seeing the world opening up back again, so it's fine to release new product. Because we haven't seen new product over the last couple of months. Secret Slayers was released at the start of the virus, and after that we got like Virtual World, the Tri Brigade, which was like on the agenda for the longest, and after that, zip. Just nothing. No new cards, no new announcements, no new nothing. And now everything is opening up again, and suddenly we get like a new deck. Kinda sus, not gonna lie. And I think we're gonna see new cards, but right now we just don't have the new cards. So right now we need those sparks. We need the engages. Maybe we don't need the Colossus. Maybe you guys are right. Maybe I am dumb and don't understand that the mistake is bad. I mean, sending Fractal to the grave, sending Kit, sending Nerval to not search, and then just summon a monster, and then just make Shurake anyway. Is it... I'm not sure if that's good or bad. But this game needs more stuff, which is one of the things that I like. Just like older cards coming back. I think that just neglecting the ban list like Elise is doing, saying I would rather not have cards coming back, it's literally not possible. There are players screaming for Light Stage to go to 2. To 2, that's not even 3. Like
Okay, so like I guess I should amend my statement. I don't care about it like personally, I understand the nostalgia point of view. I just don't think we should base our ban list, like, use
On
it
nostalgia.
as a tool to like bring back things that like have a way to be like completely relevant now that we're just so dominating and oppressive that we just don't need to experience again. I just don't think it's healthy from a metagame perspective, which is part of what the ban list matters for. Like, at the end of the day, if you really want your nostalgia, if you really want to play whatever you want, you can play like traditional or you can just play casually. But like, and
You
I'm
can't.
fine with bringing back cards that could have no impact anymore, but we're talking about Colossus that has such a high likelihood of having a huge impact today. And it may not personally matter to me, but like other like ban list changes that could just have no impact. But I understand why. It's just for the most part, it just doesn't need to happen if it's just gonna literally do an engage thing again. I don't think that's the right way to bring back cards. I don't think that's the right way.
Just for my... Oh, wait, go ahead.
Yeah, just as a quick aside, I think I agree that it should be new support for the oppressive stuff. That solves the problem that you're talking about, rather than bringing back the stuff that's way too good to get people excited. I'd rather.
I actually like that a lot. Like, for example, in Dawn of Majesty, we're having all the new Stardust support. Sure, it may not be that good, but that's super cool that they're doing that. I think that's a good way to pull people in, because then they're still encouraged to go pick up their old decks, pick up their old cards. Like, and then whenever the Inzector stuff comes out, that's still really cool. Like, there are cool ways to do that, but I don't think the ban list should be the first tool to do that, especially because, like,
it's the easiest.
half of the reason for the ban list is selling product. What is Konami selling by bringing back Striker or Colossus or anything? They're really not benefiting themselves or anyone. They're just making
reprints
stuff more annoying.
They could do a better job of making the support cards maybe a little bit better. Like, it doesn't have to be, like, high levels of competitive play, but, like, competent enough.
There's not much needed, indeed, to make Thunder Dragon playable. There just isn't much needed. A normal summon or a Link 1 would be enough. Colossus is a Link 1, by the way, but...
Exactly.
And sure, that's fine.
Alright.
I just don't want to bring it back into relevancy for literally no reason when it doesn't need to exist.
We agree on something. We agree new support for decks that need it.
Yeah. That would
Yes.
You know,
I
was
think
never against that.
I think we all agree on like new cards anyway, which is something I'm just craving for. I'm just craving for a shakeup, and Colossus might be that shakeup for the game. But new cards in general, definitely. And yeah, it's literally how much do you value Colossus? That's this discussion, I think. And I did have one question to see if I can truly understand Elise. What do you think about Sekka's Light at 3?
Sorry, what was that?
Sekka's Light at 3.
I mean, I guess it's possible with all the new tools we have. I don't think it needs to, though. I think it's a really iffy subject. I honestly haven't really thought about it.
Because for some, a card like Colossus, focusing on one deck and niche small others, I'm a huge fan of playing the game different. I love Grass. That card can never be back. Just because there are too many decks that still profit off it, even though half those cards are banned, still too good. I don't want to play against Eldlik milling 20 cards. That doesn't sound like fun. But a card like Sekka's Light promoting like different deck building, I love that.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, I just don't know how out of control it can be, because also we've had different consistency cards released since then. I just don't know what it would really do to like current decks of today, and that's the only reason why I'd be iffy, and maybe it would still be too good. And I just can't know that for sure, and that's not a question I can answer confidently because I don't think about it.
Fair. All right. Just wanted to like see your opinion on like different angles. All right.
Yep.
Yeah, I think we had a pretty fair conclusion. The conclusion is, should it be banned or unbanned? There should be new cards coming. I think that is actually a pretty deep meaning of the question. Don't you guys agree?
We have gotten to the underbelly of Yu-Gi-Oh itself.
Exactly. All right.
We're all
So,
we're all
I mean,
philosophers
I
now.
literally have this argument like at least once a week on my Twitch about people who think cards should be unbanned, so I'm used to this argument by now.
Fair enough. So huge shout out to Elysium and Skyhawk. I will leave their links in the description down below. Two amazing content creators. And yet, let me know in the comment section down below. What do you think? Can Colossus be unbanned? Can it not? And yeah, join me on the next episode where I will be talking if Masterpiece can be banned or unbanned. So I want to thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye guys.